Welcome back. As we mentioned in our last discussion about the bombing in India, there would be more news, more reports on it, so we have some updates. In fact, we have an update where JW.org is talking with the news, and this is an important update. We haven't seen JW.org get out and talk to the news. In fact, all over the world, the news media has been asking to talk to someone regarding all the CSA accounts that we've been reporting on, and they have not surfaced. So here, Jehovah's Witnesses have put a representative up to talk to the news. So we're going to look in on that, but first, what we want to do here in this broadcast is help the news media to understand what's behind JW.org and some of the programming that goes into the children. And what we're going to look at first is we're going to look at a talk done by the governing body. They're the Supreme Council of the organization. They direct all 8.5 million people worldwide. And they give all the direction in India. And it's all unified. And it all comes through a secret elders book. And the common people in the organization take direction from a body of elders in each of the congregations. Now, everyone takes what the governing body says as gospel. They feel that the governing body are a direct channel by God, and that they're the only channel on earth that God is working through for the whole earth, is these 9 men in New York. So we're going to talk to one of the main leaders. He's very outspoken, David Splain. He's been among the governing body for many years, and he's responsible for a lot of the direction in this organization. So let's take a quick look at him. I'm going to open up the screen here. So here he is. And I'll just get out of that. So we'll go back to that screen now. So here he is. We'll just run this for a bit, and it'll give us an idea what he's trying to do here and how he trains his people.
We have to hold on to it. It's a product of His Holy Spirit. So we have to put up a hard fight for our faith. So in this talk, we're not going to discuss persecution. We're going to discuss 2 of the subtle means Satan uses to weaken our faith: apostasy and negative reports about Jehovah's Witnesses in the media. So the householder says, "I have it on good authority. I read it in the newspaper." Well, if it's in the newspaper, it must be true, right? Not necessarily. Remember this: reporters have a deadline to meet, and a reporter may not have the time or the inclination to check the facts. Or the reporter may have written a balanced article, but then the editor changes it. Maybe the editor doesn't like Jehovah's Witnesses, or he's been misinformed about us. Now, it's bad enough if people in the world believe everything they read in the newspaper, but brothers, let's not be among them. Let's not be naive. Let's consider things carefully. Similarly, sometimes there's a TV program about Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, a few of these programs are balanced and fair. Many, or I dare say most, are not. And when they're not, you'll often find that the producers started out with a negative view of Jehovah's Witnesses, and then they looked for information to support their prejudice. Who did they turn to? Apostates and the clergy. From them, they got suggestions for people to interview, and we know what those people would say. At the very last minute, they may ask the brothers for comment just to give an appearance of fairness, but the program wasn't designed to be fair. It was designed to be unfair. It was slanted against Jehovah's Witnesses.
So as you can see, the David Splain is really telling his people, don't trust the news. Don't trust the newspaper. Only trust them to get the full story. So let's look in and see what he says about governments, if we should trust governments.
Does Ahasuerus check the facts? Does he demand proof?
Now, he gives the explanation just before this about some Bible example of some government official. And he says that the government official didn't check the facts, so therefore he was a demon. And this is how they get thinking that governments are demons, influenced by demons. Listen to this very closely.
No. Ahasuerus is naive. He allows himself to be taken in by Haman.
By a demon.
Well, there are a lot of modern-day Hamans today, and they use similar tactics. As a result, some government officials are taken in.
Governments?
They believe the slanderous accusations of the apostates. Now, if they just take the time to check the facts.
So here he's telling the audience, his audience, be careful with the governments. The demons are leading them. And there's other videos we can go to that shows how they outright call it part of Satan's system. Their magazines talk about it. But here this whole talk is about not trusting the media, not trusting newspapers, not trusting ones like ourselves that have left the organization and are speaking out. They call us apostates. Well, because we're against their religion, and we fit that bill. So they really imply a very negative outlook toward people leaving the faith. And we're made to be equal to the devil. So that's what they're training the children on. And it's very, very dangerous.
Now again, it's bad enough, brothers, when government officials are taken in by false reports. Don't you be taken in. Now again, it's bad enough, brothers, when government officials are taken in by false reports. Don't you be taken in.
So now he's going to tell the audience about juries and how they're corrupt. So they get right into everything, this organization, when they explain to their members about the system of things that's out there, the governments that we're under. What they don't do is show the scripture in Romans 13 verse 1 in the Christian Bible where it says to be obedient to the governments that we're under. But they don't talk about that. And he's going to talk about how people are not guilty. You know, the governments find someone guilty. You see, Jehovah's Witnesses are going to court all over the world, and they're fighting pedophile cover-up, CSA cover-up, child sex assault cover-up. And their religion allows for this. It hides it within itself, and they cover it up. So how do they do that? Well, they want to save Jehovah, which is really their watchtower name. Jehovah equals watchtower. They claim it equals God, but it's watchtower. And they really play with that name loosely to control the people. So in other words, if it's coming from Jehovah, people believe it's coming from God. And they believe, this guy here believes that he is God's representative here on earth for the whole world. And that what he says goes. That's what this guy thinks. So let's listen in and listen to a little bit more of his narcissism.
Did they do anything wrong? Or someone is found guilty by men, as Jesus was. It doesn't mean that he's guilty in the sight of God. So brothers, we really have to think about these things. We may read that a person or an organization was sued and then settled out of court. Does settling out of court mean that they were guilty? Not necessarily.
Usually it does. Usually they don't want to go to court. They don't want to deal with maybe bigger consequences. So settling out of court makes sense. The Mormon Church settled. There's a big case in California. They settled for $1 million without even being sued. They gave $1 million over, and the case went to court. So anyways, let's listen to him a little bit more, how he runs down the court systems.
Now in this country and others, court cases are often handled by a jury. Now who are on the jury? Ordinary citizens with no legal training. But not only that, these ordinary citizens don't always have access to all the facts because the judge and lawyers decide which facts will be shared with the jury. So it's unlikely that the whole truth will ever come out in court. Actually, neither side probably wants the whole truth to come out in court.
That's quite the admission, neither side. You see, the JWs are in court all over the world. They do not want their side coming out in court. They're two-witness rule that protects pedophiles. You see, all of these crimes, these are crimes. These are not misdemeanors. You'll get disfellowship for smoking a cigarette in the Jehovah's Witness religion. But yet, if you're a pedophile, you meet with the elders, you say, I'm sorry, or you say there's not two witnesses. Let's say a little girl comes forth and says, this guy was molesting me. And the elders take this into their own hands and they say, well, there's not two witnesses, so we're not going to prosecute this brother. And the brother could be an elder. And this is happening all over the world. People are coming forth, and this guy is grabbing for straws, and he's running the news media down. He's making the news media not to be trusted. He's telling his flock, don't trust the government systems out there. Don't trust the juries. Don't trust the newspapers. And this is the message that we see over and over again within the religion. And this message is being trained and indoctrinated into small children at these assembly programs.
Sometimes attorneys deliberately withhold information that would be prejudicial to their clients. And in addition, the juries have prejudices like everyone else, and some of them just can't set their prejudices aside. I'll tell you an actual experience. Some time ago.
So he gets into a few experiences here. We're going to move this forward. Now, this next little bit, if you're if you're in a debate, now Jehovah's Witnesses will never come out and do a debate with the Catholics or with other religions. They don't want to do that. In fact, if you come up to their carts and their cart witnessing, they won't debate anything. They just have kind of a list of questions, and they're really out just to recruit. It's kind of a sales depot, those little carts, and it's designed to recruit people that know nothing about the Bible because they can really teach them their own doctrine and call it God's doctrine, and they won't debate it. So here's what they do. They call everything.
So be careful. If the conversation turns negative, get out. Satan is behind the twisted teachings of apostates. He's the father of the lie.
They blame it all on
and
Satan.
those who lie are doing exactly what their father does. The apostates have nothing to offer us, brothers. All they have to offer is hate. All they have is, to offer is criticism and negative talk. But oh, how upbuilt we feel when we're with those who love Jehovah.
So if you're a government official or a newspaper outlet, you already know that when you put Jehovah's Witnesses on the stand, what they think of you. They think that you're evil. You're part of an evil system. You're trying to shake them. You're trying to corrupt them. Everyone in that religion believes it. And so when we look at, we're going to look at this video with the Jehovah's Witness representative talking, and but in conclusion here, let's just hear what David Splain says about the news media.
If we're stabilized in the faith, we won't be quickly shaken by unfounded accusations by apostates or the media. False rumors are often spread during wartime. Brothers, this is war. We need to put up a hard fight for the faith, as if our life depended on it, because it does.
So you see how they make it into a warlike situation. All of the Jehovah's Witnesses are soldiers. They're all at war. They go to door like little robots, just peddling their indoctrination. And so if a person were to look in on this religion from the inside out, for a lot of us that have left, we realize that we have damaged our children in the religion. I have children that won't talk to me because of this religion's shunning policies. All they had to do is to decide if I needed to be shunned. And because I spoke out, or I wrote a book, or had a new idea, or just wanted to do some research, they don't want any of their members really researching. So you will get shunned, and you are ostracized, and it's lifetime. If you decide you don't want to go back to that religion, it is a lifetime shunning. You are in solitary confinement from your family for life. And that is destructive. Because all your children in there, believe that you are going to be barbecued when God's day of vengeance comes. You're toast. Along with everyone out there, along with the news media, along with the governments, everyone that's out there helping them, the police officers that are helping clean up the mess at that assembly hall, the fire department, all of those people that are not Jehovah's Witnesses, according to their doctrine, are going to be toasted at Armageddon. And you see, when you program your children to believe in this, well, their minds are infected. And that is why ones come out and say this is a scary religion. This is a dangerous religion. So let's carry on here and see what happens on the newscast. Okay, so we're going to move over to the newscast with Newsx. And they're bringing this up as breaking news, and they're doing this interview with jw.org. So here it is.
We are talking about the bomb blasts that took place just a few days ago, in fact 2 days ago, at a convention that was taking place at a Jehovah Witnesses Convention Center. This was taking place in Kerala, and that led to the death of 3 people. It was a terror attack. Up until now, there has been the convict that has been found. He has already surrendered to the police. He has been brought to court. There is likelihood of a police custody being given to the Kerala police in this case. Now, amidst all the big developments that have taken place, the most important, crucial point to notice is that this was an attack that was committed by these terrorists at the Jehovah's Witnesses Convention Center. So the questions that we are also going to ask over here is about the conception of Jehovah Witnesses. What is its ideology? How did it come into being? And why is it that this person who attacked the convention center claims that he was, quote unquote, attacking this group of people, this group of religious people, this sect, because it did not adhere to the Christian philosophies. Let's start off this conversation. I have with me Joshua David. He is the national spokesperson of the Jehovah's Witnesses here in India. Thank you so much, Mr. Joshua David, for joining us on the telecast. And my first question to you about the reaction that Jehovah Witnesses had when you first heard about the explosion.
Well, let me tell you, thank you very much for having me on your program, first of all. And let me tell you that we are grieving of this because of this ghastly event that took place in the Convention of Jehovah's Witnesses. And we stand in solidarity with the people in Kerala, and we are trying to do our best to help the victims and their family members to come in terms with this tragedy. Well, we have sent our official representatives to the city so that they can take care of all the needs of the people who are victims and their family members.
Okay. Now, this individual by the name of Dominic Martin, he took the responsibility for the blast. What he said that he claimed Jehovah Witnesses to be dangerous to the country, and they were allegedly poisoning young minds. Where does this statement come from? Why did he make that statement?
Well, I'll tell you, his comments are false and misleading, and it is really offensive to Jehovah's Witnesses as a community, because Jehovah's Witnesses around the world are known to promote love and peace. They live peaceably with all in the community. The convention was all about exercising patience and how that is going to benefit the society, individuals in the family, and also individuals at their workplace and living in society. These values would really help individuals to improve their lives. So his comments are absolutely false and misleading, and it is deeply offensive to Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay, so so you see how this goes. The news media, they ask questions, they ask legitimate questions. The Jehovah's Witness spokesman rambles on, and those are all completely false. So the guy said that this religion is destructive to the minds of children. There's thousands of us on the outside. Be Free 2023 just happened here at the Washington, D.C., happened in Mexico, happened in Rome. happened in a couple of other states. Everyone from this religion that is left is speaking out. They were taught that they were demonized and they kept silent. Most of them have kept silent because of the shunning policy for all of these years. And they're being shunned. So now they're speaking out. Now they're called apostates, and they're the worst devilish things on earth according to the religion. So there's a lot of damage happening. When they talk about teaching patience, their assembly is about that. But the religion, if you're a victim of child abuse or something like that, it's hidden within the religion. The child is told that unless you have another witness, we're not going to do anything with that. And they do not report the crime to the police. They feel the governments they're above the governments. That's what they feel. And so therefore they do not report the crime to the police. They feel the media, the police, everyone is against them. So they hide all kinds of issues within the religion. There's so many of us speaking out. This is not a false statement. Let's carry on and see how he fluffs over this some more.
Why do you think Jehovah Witnesses Convention was attacked?
Well, we respect that the investigation is still going on, and the alleged perpetrator's motive, well, we're still waiting for the facts to come out. We are cooperating with the police officers, so yeah, it's a little premature to comment on that.
This is the first time perhaps.
Okay, so he knows exactly why the guy did this. The guy was disfellowshipped or shunned, and that will be my supposition. That just hasn't come out. Now, in another article we read, one of the other newspaper articles got out of it that he was deregistered. What does deregistered mean? Well, it means the person either quit or they were disfellowshipped, one or the other. They're no longer in. They're deregistered. I wrote a letter to the Bethel of Canada, and I had questions on there, and I got automatically deregistered because of my questions, legitimate questions. So you can get deregistered so easily from this religion, and then they shun you, and they tell all the other members not to talk to you. It's a very, very unfair system. This guy knows exactly what's going on. Cooperating with the police, well, he doesn't trust the police. We just heard the governing body members say how they all work against them. And so what they hope is that the guy in prison, what they hope is that he, when they investigate and talk to him, that maybe they're going to ignore his statements. That's what they're hoping. So this investigation has just started. Let's see how this carries on.
Perhaps ever in the history of Jehovah Witnesses in India that there has been a terror attack that has been initiated, that has been perpetrated, and this too in Kerala. Do you see any linkages to why it happened, when it happened, and the place where it happened?
Well, Jehovah's Witnesses, whoever knows Jehovah's Witnesses, let me tell you that they respect Jehovah's Witnesses, and they know them for being law-abiding and peaceful citizens. In fact, even...
That's a lie. Jehovah's Witnesses evade, and we've been covering all these court cases all over the world, and they go to great lengths, huge money they pay to their lawyers, and they take these things all the way to Supreme Court. Why? To protect criminals, to protect pedophiles that could be serving as elders or in their congregation. They do not want the lawsuits. As soon as they admit culpability, liability because of their two-witness indoctrination into their elders' book and how they have controlled people. So rather than people going right to the police department, if they went right to the police department and spoke out, they would get shunned and disfellowshipped. And there's so many examples of this. This guy is a complete liar.
Government officials and many scholars have commented, in fact, even in Kerala, many of them have commented that Jehovah's Witnesses do so much for society. You know, for example, we are engaged in free Bible educational work. We have literacy classes.
Okay, so the free Bible education work is they hand out their indoctrination, their literature, their website. It's a sales pitch. Jehovah's Witnesses have been running the biggest sales pitch that Judge Rutherford invented since 1919 when he got out of prison for sedition. And sedition, the leader of this organization, was prisoned along with all the other members of their governing body back in the beginning for turning the group against the governments. And they're still doing it. and then they get up and lie about these things.
For people who are illiterate.
Humanitarian needs, they don't do anything. They don't help the poor. You won't see them on the street corners helping poor people. They have printed material, Watchtower magazines, which, by the way, tears down millions of trees in your country if they're printing in your country. They do not plant trees. They don't do anything for the next generation. They don't believe the next generation is going to be here. They believe this is God's mess, and they're just here waiting for God to barbecue us all. Let's listen to this turkey.
And also we do a lot of relief work, as well as if you see the sign jaw.org. This is a website that is translated in more than 1,000 languages.
You see, we do a lot of relief work, and then he hops over to, we have 1,000 languages. It's a printing company. It's a movie. They're building movie studios. This religion is chasing after people's estates. They want people's estates. They want their tithe, more than the tithing, they said in the last couple of talks. So, folks, this is not what they say it is. And humanitarian need, sure, there might be a disaster. They'll come in with a plane with some bottled water and stuff and take care of a few needs. They'll take advantage of insurance programs all over the world to rebuild houses. They'll use us as a common people to do all the work, and then they get the insurance money. They're a money-making business under the umbrella of a religion because they want the gifts that most governments give religions. They give them a lot of tax breaks. This is a company, and they're trying to indoctrinate your people in India.
Because our publications really help people to get the best values and practical benefits to improve their own lives.
Now that's nonsense, because they teach the children not to do higher education. The children aren't allowed to do any form of nationalism. They can't sing an anthem to a country or anything, but they sing anthems and they have nationalism toward the 9 governing body leaders. So they're very nationalistic toward them, and they get their exclusive devotion. So this is a cult, but it's not even a sect. By no means does it fit the criteria of a religion, but it's a cult. And it's getting compared in Japan to the Unification Church, which is another cult that's being shut down. Petitions put forth to the high courts of Japan to shut that down as a religion, along with Jehovah's Witnesses next. Norway, they've declassified them as a charitable religion because they're not. And so therefore, Jehovah's Witnesses are suing Norway, the Norway government. They're suing them for $35 million in their currency to get free money that charity religions get.
With regards to the attack that had taken place, obviously a vehement condemnation that comes from all quarters across the country. There is an NIA investigation that is at this point of time taking place. The Kerala police is also carrying out its investigation. Could there be there have been other terror attacks that have taken place in Kerala. There have been a number of these terrorist organizations, the likes of PFI and Islamist Jihad, that continue to function. There have been these ISIS links that have also been found. Is there a do you think there could be a correlation to it all, keeping in mind that there are these extremists, fundamentalists that have found home in Kerala?
Well, let me tell you, again, I've already told you that the investigation is still ongoing, and we do not really know the motives in what has happened. So, again, it is wrong to speculate at this moment. So we'll wait for everything to come out in due course.
If you could also...
See, what I wished is that the Jehovah's Witnesses would give the police force and the governments more respect in their talks, but they don't, as you've seen from the initial David Splain Assembly Convention programming talk that he gave. But these guys here, now they need the police, they need the governments to help them in this situation. Oh, well, the police are the best thing, as long as they're working within the best interests of Jehovah's Witnesses. Soon as the police are going after Jehovah's Witnesses for hiding crimes like pedophilia, the police are the enemies. So these guys walk a double plank. They have a double tongue. And they actually call it theocratic warfare strategy, where they're allowed to lie in many cases like this. They're allowed to lie. They're allowed to twist the actual facts or not tell the whole truth. And by not telling the whole truth, these news journalists are never going to understand Jehovah's Witnesses. So they have to talk to us. And we're classified as the most evilest thing on earth, the apostate. Well, let's listen in a little bit further here.
Also shed light into, the ideology of Jehovah Witnesses. How did it come into being, the history of it, and why it, finds itself to be different from the Protestants or the Catholic ideologies of Christianity?
Well, Jehovah's Witnesses love the Bible and they strive to live according to Bible principles. And let me tell you, Jehovah's Witnesses are found around the world. We work, we live and practice our faith in more than 240 lands. And we are about 8.5 million around the world. It's an international religious organization. In India, we are about more than 57,000. So we live according to Bible principles, and the Bible says that God wants this whole earth to be turned into a paradise with happy, healthy people living in peace. And that's what Jehovah's Witnesses strive to do. Many witnesses will tell you, many Jehovah's Witnesses will tell you that learning Bible principles, applying them in their lives, has really improved the quality of their lives. And we really were there to enjoy the convention, and that is why we turned up in the numbers. So really, our heart really goes out to the suffering that our people are going through at this moment.
Thank you, Mr. Joshua David, for joining.
Okay, so he didn't even answer the question she asked. She asked, and this is how Jehovah's Witness spokespeople do it. They evade the real question. She said, how is this? How are you in the community against other religions, Catholic, Protestant, Christians? And all he said is, we follow the Bible. In other words, the other religions don't follow the Bible. Well, their Bible is written by them. Their leaders are not inspired. They're fallible. They admit that. They make doctrinal errors, mistakes. But yet, somehow, they're inspired enough to drop chapters out of John, the book of John, where Jesus is talking. They did that in here. And then they have the balls to throw this word Jehovah in to the New Testament 237 times when no other scholar on earth has even found that name in ancient manuscripts. It's because they think it should be there. And they do that for indoctrination. Jehovah equals Watchtower equals them. And this is how they program their people. To give you the rest of the story, executive editor, news person there, why wouldn't he answer anything on the Protestant and the Catholics? They believe they're evil. They believe that they're part of Babylon the Great and they're going to be destroyed. And when they go to door and teach your people in India, they're teaching them that even your other religions in India are part of Satan's wicked system. This guy is such a fluff. I don't even know if he's dyed his hair blonde. I don't know if it's that gray or blonde dye. But this guy is a fluff.
Us on the telecast.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel.
That's the end of that. We're going to go back to the studio. But that's how Jehovah's Witnesses do it, folks. They get up there and they just talk. They don't answer the first question, but they just blend it in. Oh yeah, well, we practice the Bible. That's what we do. As if no one else practices the Bible. How many of the apostates that come out practice the Bible more thoroughly than they did while they were in there? Most of us do. So we got out of that religion because it hides crimes. We got out of it because shunning is wrong, is cruel. We got out of that religion because they believe if you needed a blood transfusion, you should tell the doctors not to give your child a blood transfusion. Now, then they're going to have to get a court order. That child could die. That's why this is harmful to children. The child's in there, has some kind of an issue, but yet this group claims they're not inspired. But then on the other hand, they say, oh yeah, we're God's chosen ones, the faithful slave. You see, they're a sect, a cult, and they twist everything they say. So folks, that gives you the rest of the story. And for us on the outside, we do live our life with love. And that's how we get rid of the negative hate and anger that builds up in our brains because of this religion. When we leave the religion, we have no associations. So we end up getting resentful. We can't change it. So now we're speaking out all over the world. Be Free 2023 spoke out this year. Next year, it'll be a bigger speak out. And we're going to the governments for answers, because these religions are classified as charities. And when they do not help people, they do not help the poor, they don't help orphans or widows or anything like that. They print literature, tear our trees down. They don't plant extra trees to equal out what they've used in paper products. They don't care. They figure the whole earth is God's plan to be barbecued, and they're going to be the rulers. So they may claim to be on the sides of the governments or working with them. But as we've seen in the outset, that is not what they program their people. So folks, that's the rest of the story. Keep living your life with love. Bye for now. Oh, hello. My name is Vern. Join the channel. We cover JW World News, and we give you the rest of the story. Today, we're going to the Watchtower, and we have lives on Tuesday nights and Saturdays, and an excellent community. So join the channel and watch as we crash into the Watchtower. Here it is. I see it coming. Woo!